Welcome to the Granny Square series. This week we're going to be looking at the star square, and as you can see it's raised, sits above the square, and this is made in moonstone from the Stonewash collection in the shapiers, I'm never too sure. For the tutorial I'm going to be using Stylecraft Special DK acrylic yarn. I'll be making the star in a hint of silver and the square in the denim colour. I've got the patterns here in my notebook. So there's the star pattern, and then here's the centre that we'll be using, and then this is how we're going to square it at the end. So let's get started. So using a 4mm hook, I'm going to start with a double magic circle and chain one. So the center of our star will be 6 cluster stitches with a chain 2 space between each cluster. We will be using 2 stitch clusters using US doubles, UK trebles together. So I've already chained one, I'm going to chain 2 and then make my first 2 stitch cluster. And chain 2, and we're going to do that 5 more times, and then we'll tighten the circle together at the end. I've just made my last cluster stitch. I'm going to chain 2 and then we'll tighten up our circle. So we'll pull the tail end, see which loop tightens first, and then pull that loop tight. Yeah, once we've pulled that loop tight, we'll then pull the tail and move that out of the way. We're then going to slip stitch into the first stitch we made. Yeah, and that's the end of round 1. So we're now going to chain 3 and slip stitch into the top of the next stitch. And that's our repeat. We're going to go around chaining 3 and slip stitching it into the top of the next stitch. So I will put those patterns that I just showed you at the beginning in a blog post and the link in the description. Yeah, so keep going around, chain 3, slip stitch until we get back to the beginning. And then when we get back to the beginning, we're going to slip stitch into the top of the first stitch, but we're going to take our hook up in between the chain 2 space and the chain 3 space. Yeah, so that we can then slip stitch into the chain 2 space and turn the chain 3 space behind. Yeah, so that chain 3 space is here. Yeah, and our yarn is coming behind the chain 2 space. And that's how the end of that round should look. To make our star, the spikes on the star, we're going to be working into these chain 2 spaces. So we're going to just chain 1 to start. Yeah, we're going to yarn over and we're going to make a US half double, UK half treble. Then we're going to make a US double, UK treble, and then we're going to make a US treble, UK double treble. Yeah, we then chain 2 and we're going to slip stitch into the first chain we made. We're then going to work backwards, so we're going to make a US treble, UK double treble into that chain 2 space. We then make a US double, a UK treble. Oops. And we then make a US half double, UK half treble. And that's our first spike. So we're then going to hop across into the next chain 2 space and repeat the same sequence. So we're going to make a, remember to turn that chain 3 space behind. Yeah, we make a US half double, UK half treble, US double, UK treble, US treble, UK double treble, chain 2, slip stitch into that first chain we just made, and then we work backwards. So a US treble, UK double treble, US double, UK treble, and then a US half double, UK half treble. And that's our second one made. So we're going to work all the way around, and I'll see you at the end of the round. I'm just making my last stitch now. And we should have 6 points to our star. Yeah, just going to slip stitch into the first stitch to join, and then we're going to cut the yarn. Well, you don't have to if you don't want to, but I'm going to cut the yarn and change colour. So each chain 2 space from that third round has 6 stitches, and then on the back we now have all those chain 3 spaces to work the next round. So using a slip stitch, I'm going to attach my yarn to one of the chain 3 spaces. Yeah. And then for this round we're going to make 2 cluster stitches, 2 stitch clusters using US doubles, UK trebles into each chain 3 space with a chain 1 space between each stitch. So let's make our first cluster and then chain 1. Did I say chain 2 a minute ago? If I did, I meant chain 1. And then we make a second 2 stitch cluster into that chain 3 space and chain 1, and then we're going to hop across to the next chain 3 space. So we're going to make our first 2 stitch cluster, chain 1, and then our second 2 stitch cluster, and we're going to go and chain 1, and we're going to go all the way around in each chain 3 space, and I'll see you at the end of the round. At the end of the round we should have 12 cluster stitches and 12 chain 1 spaces. So we're just going to slip stitch into the first cluster to join, and then we're going to slip stitch into the chain space. So that's how it looks at the end of round 1. You can't round 1 of squaring, you can't really see much of it. So for the second round we're going to chain 2, and we're going to make a 3-stitch cluster this time, again using US doubles, UK trebles, but we'll be using 3 stitches instead of 2. Oops, I've got lost there. And 3, and then pull through, and then we chain 2. 1, 2. So then hop across to the next space and make another 3-stitch cluster. And chain 2. And that's our repeat. So we're going to go all the way around, and at the end of the round you'll have 12 3-stitch clusters and 12 chain 2 spaces. So at the end of the round we're going to slip stitch to join, and then we're going to slip stitch into that chain 2 space, and that's the end of that round. So now we're coming into our last round. We're going to chain 1, yep, and we're going to make our square. So we're going to start in the middle of the edge, and then we're going to do the corner, yeah. So we're going to make a US single, UK double, and then 2 into this same space, 2 US half doubles, UK half trebles, and we then hop across to the next chain 2 space, and this is going to be the corner. So we're going to make 2 US doubles, UK trebles. We're then going to make 1 US treble, UK double treble. We will then chain 1 and we'll work backwards. So we'll make 1 US treble, UK double treble, 2 US doubles, UK trebles. This is still in the same space. Oops. So that we have 6 stitches in there in the corner, yeah. We then go into the next space, next chain 2 space. We're going to make 2 half US doubles and half UK trebles, 2 of them, yeah. We then make 1 US single, UK double, and that's our repeat. So we just do the same thing over the next 3 stitches, chain spaces, and so on all the way around. So we'll start with a US single, UK double, and then the 2 half stitches, and then we're back at the corner. So the same as we made for that corner, yeah. And I'll see you at the end of the round. So when you come to your last stitch, that should be a US single, UK double, and then we can just slip stitch across. Oops, oh, I got the yarn caught there. Oops. There we go. And I'm just going to chain 2, and then we can lay it down. So just give that a little sort of shape. You can weave in your ends, and there's the little star. Just give that a tug. Isn't that lovely? I just love it. I just think that's so cute. That would just look so cute on a blanket. Oh, I'll see you in the next video.